So you can see it's taking a long time to populate because there's lots and lots and lots of nodes. This is the worldwide ARDEN network, okay? I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on what is the, the Willamette Valley Mesh Network. Okay, and by the way, if you can take questions, that way I can keep if there's one that you want to tell me, stop, pause, and take some questions. I can't watch the chat and demonstrate at the same time. But anyway, so you go to the ARDEN site, and they've got all these resources, and you can zoom in and you can see the extensive network that we have with ARDEN, okay? So why is it so extensive? Why does it work so well, kind of? I guess it's because, again, people connected to people, not groups that are necessarily trying to make you do something their way. It's just they made it very, very easy and free to get this firmware. Okay, so let's talk about where so our, I'll go first to my, sorry, trying to find my, go back to my web page here.
And if anybody has any questions, if you want to put it in the chat.
There we go.
I'll track of that.
All right, so this is our website right now, Willamette Valley Mesh Network. Now, I'll say that when we started doing this, we were kind of the Salem Mesh Network, okay? And I realized that we have, we also have a group. This is WillametteValleyMesh.net. If you'd like me to put that in the chat, or you can just copy it here. It's pretty straightforward. We have that, and we have a groups.io page as well called WVMN. But this is where you should start and kind of get our philosophy that we're Part 97. We want to do this ad hoc networking. Okay, ad hoc networking again is the ability to bring and organize a network without the help of IT people to set up your addresses. You just bring them in and it works. If I bring one of our radios down to Southern California, it works. All you need to know is what frequency are they using and what bandwidth. All right, and it works. So you can look at this webpage. It's got a copy of the mesh map. I'm going to show you another version of this in just a second. Okay, Richard made this available, and he's the web think RCP for all of this hard work. This is showing pretty much our network live. So the first thing is we know exactly what's happening with our network. Basically, I think he scans it every 30 minutes, okay? This is situational awareness, the whole network all the time. That's done by the fact that the whole network is constantly being looked over by a script, which basically generates this map. So we can zoom in on the map and we can find any number of nodes on here. So take a look at that when you're at it. There's also a topology map, which he generates, which comes in from scripts that are available. Because this is Linux, for some people, this is just great. I mean, it's like, you don't have to learn how to do this, but we certainly can take advantage of this, all open source stuff. This particular map was written by a gentleman in KC6WXC down in Santa Barbara, and he made it available to everyone on the ARDEN mesh. Okay, so there's that. We have I'm seeing a lot of chat things, but I can't look at those. So again, if somebody, Max, if you see something, stop me and let me know if there's a question at this point. But here's our Willamette Valley Mesh Network groups.io page. We have 158 members. We have a lot of topics. It's 220 topics. We've started that 2018. Okay, when we first started looking at this stuff. And we were just thinking in terms of the Salem Mesh Network. And we were open to the idea that, well, maybe there's other networks out there that are using this kind of stuff. And it turns out that there are. But we learned that ARDEN was really going strong in Southern California and Santa Barbara. And they had all these resources, told us what radios to get and all that good stuff. So we decided to go with their plan, okay? You can join this, again, the same as we were saying before. There's lots of, quite active talks about things happening within the network. This is both our technical support page and our, chance to share information, in addition to, I also have a mesh net that I do every Thursday at 7 p.m. on the WA7ADU 14529 repeater. I think that says that here, back on the homepage. All right, so this web page is hosted on a server within our network. So a network itself is just an infrastructure. It's nothing without people and services. All right. We have lots of services, and guess what? The services, everything is free, and everything has been put up by individual people who are interested in making the services available. Okay. So it's a fantastic platform for people to experiment and explore. We make it very, very easy for you to join to this network and to put up your own server. So anyway, lots of services. We've listed some of them here. I'm going to go through a couple of the main ones that I'm going to demonstrate it for you. But WinLink, I think there's 4 things that you need to know that we use commonly for emergency communications. But we need to be able to do WinLink. We need to be able to do file sharing. We need to be able to do phone calls, and we need to be able to do a chat program that will allow us to communicate immediately. So let's look at ARDEN. I guess that's the overview. I don't know if anybody has the point is open network to every amateur radio operator. And I guess one of the ways that it's part of our digital transformation. We are not limited to, we're kind of focused on Oregon, but the Willamette Valley Mesh Network is now a generic term, which is everybody that wants to join the network can be the Willamette Valley Mesh Network. But
I just had a quick question. What's the difference between ARDEN and HamWAN? Can you just? Okay.
Well, ARDEN they use the same kind of radios, but we program them to do the mesh, and their radios are programmed to set up a traditional high-speed point to multi-point network with users that are registered using the same kinds of equipment. The HamWAN equipment can be programmed for ARDEN because we take regular US FCC certified radios and we put the firmware in it that makes it do the magic of meshing, and that gets it. So the end result is that our network is very resilient, very extensive. It routes itself, and it can survive a lot of hits. Like if you lose a mountaintop, the rest of the network works. Okay, if you lose an access point, it does not go down, and it's not gone down since I've been involved with it in 2018. In spite of the fires, in spite of the freezing things, in spite of the pandemic, we're growing. So, all right, let me look real quick. So here's that okay? I mean,
real fast, Brett.
More about it, but let's just focus tonight on the working network. 202 devices. Okay, let's go to our real ARDEN map. All right, get rid of that. So obviously there's a worldwide thing, but what does our map look like? Okay, so here's our map. I've just so focused in on Oregon, and what's great about this map is, first thing is I can use it to zoom into any area. I can search for people. There's a little interface on the side here. It's the same as the other map. It's got the magic of this one is I can click on the links and go to the links, find out and actually navigate around the network by simply clicking on these dots. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And orange dots on the list are 5.8 gigahertz devices. The purple magenta colored dots are 900. I'll show you this. You can actually check them off. So let's check them off one by one here. So 900s are pink. Can make that go away. That often reveals another one underneath. The 5.8 are the RF, and these green lines represent RF links. Okay. And you can see in our area, it goes back and forth across the valley and all around, okay? These are pretty high speed links. It's faster than anything that you can do in ham radio for data transfer, suitable for video, audio, telephone, anything that we want to do. We actually have enough speed to do that. We like to say we don't charge extra for high upload speeds on the network. Okay. I will say that of the different frequencies that are available, we started with 2.4, and they only gave us one channel on 2.4, -2. And all the purple dots, let me just get rid of it, show you all the purple dots. For the most part, everybody that has a purple dot on this map is probably running a tunnel node. Okay, these are little microtick devices. Now, the other thing that our network does that the ham WAN has trouble doing is that we can tunnel. So these dark links on here and these little purple dots are 2.4 gig microtick devices. They're called the HAPAC light, and they're connected by tunnels, again, extensively. And we like it to be that these guys would also be connected by RF as well. The little device can actually run an additional radio. So that's how the map works. And you can change it to a topo map if you want, and you can see, whether it might take a little while to load that. But you can see that we're really challenged in our area by the terrain. We have lots and lots of terrain issues, and the mountains get in the way. So when we really work hard at trying to make these point-to-point, person-to-person contacts, and it requires a fair amount of cooperation to make it happen. I will say that for the nodes that we put up and sort of stuck somewhere and pointed somewhere and said, we hope someone will connect, those are not the most successful. Those are the least successful. The most successful is when two people get together and decide, I want to use this. Okay, let's see what an ARDEN thing looks like. Okay, this is my node that I'm talking on right now. In fact, one of the nice things is that I can actually do the internet and ARDEN at the same time because of the firewalls. So I got a tunnel client and I'm using the mesh right now. Okay, so this is what it looks like. I'm using a Mac. It works on any kind of computer that has a browser. So if I wanted to see another node, I could actually just click on the node and let's zoom in here. Let's go to your area. So I can search. I'm going to find Collier here. Okay, so I can quickly search. There's Collier's node. Bring it up. It's information there. That's where it is. I can click that. And I'm on Collier's page. Okay, I can tell where that he's got a signal to noise that of 41 dB is connected to some other people. Who's he connected to? Well, we can look and see by mesh status, we can see who that person is connected to. And he's connected to all these different people. So this is your area right now, okay? So these are different nodes that are already available, working, and anything that says it has numbers like this, the transmission speed 70, 17, 39 are RF nodes, okay? You don't need, all you need to know is what frequency is this on in order to use it, okay? Go back to the main page here. So what frequency is on? He's on channel 180 right here, 10 megahertz. Let's see what he's doing in the way. We want to know how well is that link working? Okay, we can pull up this chart and we can go down and we can say, okay, well, he's connected to two different people here, and this is his signal. So we pick one of these. That's a really strong one there. I can hover over the map and I can see he's producing 78 megabits per second and 150 megabits per second. He's got these modulations, 12 and 13. It goes up to 16 theoretically with perfect sort of modulation, but he's using a 10 megahertz channel and plenty of speed, especially at the range that he has it set up. We can use this to actually, I'm gonna drive you nuts. I'm gonna turn on the sound. that sound. That sound. Okay, we use that in the field to actually aim these things. Once it's connected, we can use that sound to hear it while we're aiming our dish. Okay. Go back to the interface again. So everybody, you run the interface, you can run it through the map, you can see all of these things. When I look up the mesh each day, I see we have 203 nodes currently, 756 entries. These are the people I'm connected to. And then they're listed as I go down the list by how good their signal is, how close they are to me, something they call ETX value. And then these things down the middle, if you can see that, are services. Okay, let me show you. So this looks the same on everybody's node. Okay, this is why it's so cool. We don't need to be really technical about this. You just need to get on here and start using it. And that's what I really want you to be aware of. I know I'm going a little bit long. Let me just show you a couple services that are on the node, on the system.
Real fast, that page he just showed shows a list of a bunch of services. You actually, when you connect to the mesh network with your device, say you have a Raspberry Pi with a web server, in the admin section of this app, you actually assign it an IP address permanently by adding it to its interface, and it's all really easy to do, by the way. But you publish a link on your node, and that propagates through the network, so everybody sees it. So every link right there that's in red, when you click on it, it goes to that host name that you assign to that device and allows you to access that service, whether it's HTTP or if it's, you name it. We have webcams on there, a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
That way it's all decentralized and allows you to easily access any of the services that you want to look for.
And if you lose the internet and you just can't stand it, there's Wikipedia. We have the full Wikipedia. It's separated by, it's actually with pictures and everything. It's all there. You can do a search and you can look up whatever you like on Wikipedia. That's running on a small one of the mini ITC PCs, I think, on Wikipedia. It's from Kiwix. Okay.
Brett, this is Paul Guthrie. Can you show one of the file servers, show the documents that we shared for one of our simulated emergency tests?
Yes. I use the search feature on my browser to get somewhere quickly. So K9RCP was just talking there. This is his file server. And so we open this up, and each person can have a folder. We happen to have some of the EOCs on here as in red that have created folders. So we put our set documents on here. We have county frequency plans. You can use. That just came up the other day, where you get that all this information is available, to people. Like there's the Clackamas plan, and just opens right up in the, probably will download it because it's a PDF file it's going to download. But all these things are available for upload and download. The fastest way to send information is to simply use the file server and upload and download things. We can do big pictures, which is really something you can't do otherwise. I've just tried to send somebody a big picture on my email. It wouldn't work. It reached the file limit.
So real fast, one thing I want to mention is this particular file server has dual network cards on it. So one of the network cards is on ARDEN. The other one is actually connected to the internet. So say you have an emergency, right? And this particular server still has internet, hopefully, which it's in a really nice location. So I don't expect to have any issues. But say you have an issue where the internet's down for you, you need to send a picture to someone, or you have ARDEN and you have a picture of a bridge that's out, right? You can take that picture, say you have a mobile rig and you point it up to one of the ARDEN sites with your vehicle. You can connect to that ARDEN site, send the picture to that file server, and this particular file server is connected to the internet. So you can go to sites.willamettevalleymesh.net, and if you put it in the folder that's correlating with that, you can actually publish photos and anything, any content to the internet as well on that page too. So that allows people to use the file server, this particular one, to push stuff to the internet. So you don't just have to be on the mesh network.
Anyway, so that's the file server is very easy to use. It works on a cell phone. You don't have to have even so you get on this network. You can get on the network by using a computer, but you can also have some of these devices produce a hotspot, or you can add your own Wi-Fi hotspot using a Raspberry Pi or something like that. So this stuff is all here already, all working, and you're welcome to use it. It's a tremendous resource that's built up, not from one person, but from the efforts of very, very many people. So, you know, we can, Richard's done a lot of stuff with, show you another pictures, with his drone. He's figured out a way to use drones to map the direction in the sky. Okay, let me go through a couple other things that we have, because I know we're running out of time. So mesh chat is the first thing that we can do. I can type on mesh chat and it shows up on all of these different servers that we have right now. There's 7 of them listed. So if I type once, it's read by everyone. So one of the things, the first thing I tell people is it's like a resource net. It's a resource net that covers 13 counties, okay? You can get on it to anywhere, but you know, we've got one of our goals is distributed services. So we, you know, even if your part of the mesh goes down, you still have this mesh chat. When it's up, you're talking to other people. So one typing thing, you've got it. Dead simple file server on here. We actually have the dialing plan, for example, for our telephone system. By the way, I already figured out for all of you guys, phones for the entire network. Some people sat down and said, oops, make sure I'm not muted. Figured out that we're Oregon Call 7, we could come up with a telephone system that would cover every single district based on Aries districts, district 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, those 6 districts, and that generates a telephone numbering system that gives pretty much each county 1,000 numbers to use for our PBX voice mail system. Okay, so that's already been determined. You guys up in Washington County, you're going to be 715-00 through 5999. You guys in Clackamas County will be 71000. Okay. Already figured out for you. All right, that's our dial plan. Oh, what else can I show you? Go back to this. Okay, so that's just quick way to share information. You can tell people, hey, I you know, a situation going on, I'd like to show you really quick, and be able to put this up immediately. They'll also any kind of document. Okay, so that's mesh chat. Really quick, you can also, you know, create your own channel for different uses. You could, for your club or for an exercise that you're doing, you can create a chat channel. Okay, what else can we show you? But you know, it's not all just, so we got phones, we've got file servers, we've got WinLink. I won't show you WinLink, but let me just tell you that WinLink, I don't care what, you know, fancy VARA mode that you use, nothing beats the speed of the mesh network in terms of WinLink. It's just like using Telnet. If you've ever used it, it is super fast. Okay. And, you know, all you need is a WinLink client and connect to one of our mini RMS nodes. And some of them are connected by, you know, tri-mode, so they can send radio out. And some of them are connected by Telnet, so they go out through the network. Much easier. You can set it up so that it automatically does collects the mail for you like every minute and keeps the mail going. So easier and faster to run a WinLink station. So the mesh chat, WinLink, file servers, and IP phones. So now, at this point in time, anybody again that has an interest can use the network as a way of exploring the the ham hobby. Okay, some people have decided that, well, their interest. I heard someone saying they liked airplanes. Well, you got to have your own airplane tracker. So why don't you have your own airplane tracker on the mesh, and you can do that. Now, this is probably pulling in some information, but it is a live mesh tracker that's located in Albany at NH6Z. She has that. Weather stations, they're really fun. I happen to have, we noticed a while, this is another little project, that they do weather balloons every day from Salem that get launched. And this is my weather balloon tracker, which I put on a Raspberry Pi. And that has actually some very useful data. If you are a weather person, you can go back. It literally has been keeping track of the weather balloons for, since our big heat wave back in July. I can click on any one of them. I can look at a, fancy professional weather map on here. This is all freeware. It's running on Docker. You can do this is collecting my little node here running a dongle on a Raspberry Pi. So if you couldn't remember what it is that you bought the Raspberry Pi for, this is a great place to practice using it. So it's useful for us as a test system for your particular interest. We can use it to problem solve. We can use it to ask questions. One of the questions it asks is how much power do we need to run this kind of ham radio thing? So Jeff came up with a way of looking at power consumption using a Pi Zero, and look at the Raspberry Pi. Make sure this is working here. Oop, that one's not working. Sometimes they don't work. BP power. Anyway, you search through them. Anyway, what we determined is that these radios, they run basically on a 15-watt plug-in power supply, and they take about 400 milliamps or less to run. So we have 4 radios running on our node at Victor Point, and that particular system is running at about 800 milliamps of power, running 4 radios. So as far as having an emergency backup radio power system and being able to use it,
the test one's up, by the way.
Oh, which one?
The node power test.
Okay, let's see.
Just type the word power.
Oh, I see. All right, let me show that one. Okay, so this was
and by the way, JLO and on the Zoom meeting wrote this software. So he's also written a few other ones, including one that does radiation monitoring, which is also on our mesh.
Okay, so anyway, we can keep an eye on the battery power at this node. And here's a cool thing: we wanted this is a remote station, and we want to know if these batteries are working. So there's an alarm on this that he just wrote. If the battery drops, what is it, Jeff, like down to 12, we figured out a way to send a text message to Dan using APRS. So I have APRS running on our system. So it sends a message to APRS and out SMS gate, and uses that to actually send a message to his cell phone. Okay, so again, this is just, we know, this is an example of remote telemetry. If that's something you're interested in, remote control and remote operation is the key to running the mesh network. Okay, I think at that point, I think there's just a lot of things you can use it for, and I want to invite you guys to do that. There's Samba servers. We have Nextcloud. We have email. We have great weather stations. Ross particularly likes weather stations, and he's also put his satellite images on the webpage. That's a satellite that he collects with his own radio. 6:59 p.m. live data you can share with others over the network. Okay.
Got the most important, Brett, Minecraft.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell that. Okay, yeah. So another thing, getting young people involved. Okay. Eugene got the Science Center got a grant from the ARDC to improve their science center, and so we thought was that maybe we could show young people that this is not. I guess it's actually not as a link right this minute. We actually put a virtual Minecraft server on so they could see that it could be used for Minecraft, and we got that to work. That's Nathan's operation.
One of the other cool things we have is everybody's familiar with APRS and the aspect of using on the radios, but a lot of people don't know that there's also APRS IS, which is the internet service that everything gets eventually sent to. One of the things that we have on the mesh is we have APRS IS into the mesh, so you can actually send APRS messages through IS on the mesh network, and it'll be funneled upstream to the core IS system of APRS. And so, say if you're on the mesh network, you can put and you have a site that has an iGate, you can link that in over the mesh network, as long as you have mesh support, to our IS systems, and we have them Albany, Newburgh, all that fun stuff. If you receive a message, it'll go over the mesh network through the IS network, and you can literally pass that traffic over our network to the rest of the world. So you can literally send it through that iGate to wherever you want. So,
yep. I think Anna has another APRS on here.
We also have DMR reflectors too, if that suits your fancy too.
Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention is that we can link repeaters over the mesh network. This is a thing that Ken has spearheaded. You've heard of All-Star. All-Star works over the mesh network, and you can control your repeater and link repeaters over the mesh network. It turns out it uses a protocol. It's the same asterisk program that runs the phone system. So all the different talents of people, this is the forum for them to test this stuff and make it work. And it's just really an honor and a privilege to see people cooperating in this way. It's built the ham community. We're making the digital transformation that other companies are struggling to do, and they pay big bucks to get someone to do it. Well, we just sort of fell into it because nobody was calling us to get us to do any, to help them. So we came up with our own system. And I'll just say, this is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you join the network, really, I think what you want to do is we can help you with the, advice as far as it goes, getting on the network, teach you how to program it, teach you how to find signals, things like that. But it's really a person-to-person thing. So you want to try to communicate with an individual. You can call me or be on my MeshNet, correspond with me to my call sign at arrl.net. I think I put that on there. But we're here to help you, and we want to help each other, because when you add your stuff, then it makes it stronger. The mesh network is bigger and better with more people involved. Okay. And you guys are next up in Portland, and Collier's got a network there for you to join with. We got another guy, N7LF, Joel, who just started something at Gresham Hospital, and he's linked to David in Clark County. And we're going to find those locations that allow us to connect by RF. But in the meantime, we can get a tunnel, and then we can branch out from there. The more, every radio creates an access point for every other radio. And that's a big distinction, is that, once you're on, you can be between two nodes and you're now all connected together. So it's an iterative process, individuals connecting together. we've gone from 100 nodes in August 2020 to 200 plus nodes in 2022. Sorry, August. So pretty quick progress. Sorry, 2021. August. Let's see. We had the goal of getting in 2020, right before the fires, of getting 100 nodes. Now we're at 200. So it's going pretty quickly, in spite of the fact that we don't have any served agencies telling us to go build this network. We're just trying to be there, trying to provide an infrastructure, trying to be a community, and that's the purpose of the mesh. I think with that, I think I probably covered enough of an overview. If there are any questions, I can turn it back over to you, or if you have something specifically you wanted to see, I can show you on the mesh network. But you can see how easy it is to get around and use this stuff. We've got our phone numbers on here, you know, we've got maps, we've got all kinds of things that you can use. There's, you know, oh yeah, you can, if you don't have your general, let's go ahead and you can use somebody else's mesh-based open web HDSVR.
Real fast, since it was brought up, one person in chat asked about the security of mesh and the whole system. First things first, every node has a password. Some of our nodes, we have a general password that we use, and that's mainly because as a collective group, we have nodes that we all kind of manage, and it's usually at key sites. If you're very technically savvy, you can literally go in command line into your node. You can set IP tables. So if you want to restrict who has access to your node or your services, you could do that too. If you really wanted to, you could set up two devices, because each device gets its own IP address range based off of its MAC address. You can have two devices that are IP blacklisted, everything except those two devices talking to each other. And you can have one connected to a node at your house, throw the other one in your car, drive down the road, connect to a completely different site, and talk over, you know, that network. Of course, it's HTTP, it's not secure, but you could be the only one talking to your own device. You can also do password protected, even though people could see your password because it's plain text, because we can't use SSL because it's part 97. Anyway, because we're hams, we're not supposed to use SSL. If an emergency happens, you technically could pass the internet over it. There is a checkbox in the settings. We, as hams, don't want that to be a thing, because first of all, if you start passing internet traffic, someone will go to a YouTube video that has an ad, and that's commercial traffic, and that's violation of FCC rules. So we actively police our users to make sure that they're not sharing their WAN or their internet. So make sure you don't check that box. And as for the security of it, if you have an older laptop that can just do basic web browsing and everything, throw that on there. Basic computers nowadays have really good network security. Unless you're sharing files explicitly under Windows, then your mileage may vary. And if you're doing that, you probably know what you're doing. So, you know, I always say, if you have a computer at home that you can buy a USB network interface card, have that as your separate interface, and then have another one for your internet. But basically, it's pretty secure in itself. But that doesn't mean like just go give your node password to someone, because that can get into weird stuff. But hopefully that answers some of your questions.
Okay. So anyway, that's pretty much, it's a big topic. I could talk forever, and I don't want to take over, you know, everybody's night, but I can stop screen sharing, but or take questions. I know you guys have been doing a great job in the chat of asking questions. If there's something I haven't covered, I just want to welcome everyone. I mean, you're basically, by doing this, you know, you're part of the network. You make it stronger. We need you. You need us. Our served agency. I guess my new thought is that our served agency is us. Okay, we don't necessarily have to wait for them to tell us what to do. We're going to do this, and when you can still use your own served agency when they finally get around to using this, and when they do, you're going to say, okay, we can do what do you want us to do? Here's your phone, you know, pretty much it's pretty straightforward and ready to go. You control the access to these people. We don't want to be on, we're also, don't want to be on these secure IT systems in government agencies, because they're probably more liable to be hacked than we are. They are oftentimes subject to attacks. And
Real fast. Regarding the FCC on 3 gigahertz, 3 gigahertz was a band that we had basically exclusive access to on that particular band for the frequencies that we had. A lot of companies started fighting for it. It went to, anyway, we kind of lost that band. 5 gigahertz, we're also seeing push for that too. And one of the things that we've just recently, this last year, we worked with a team of lawyers with ARDEN, and we submitted our own, what is it called, Brett? What did we submit?
Oh, we submitted a filing, basically a testimony for the new FCC ruling about the use of the 5.9 gig band. And actually our network was one of 4 examples given in the country of how hams are using the 5.9 gigahertz frequency, and that we would appreciate if we would get, the same kind of treatment that other people have. There is a threat to the new Wi-Fi 6. Somebody asked a question about other interference from home devices. It's actually the Wi-Fi 6E new standard, if run at the wide channel width, will spill over into our band and eventually nibble away at the top edges of our band. Not good. When that gets to be an outdoor system, again, we might have some kind of standing if we're showing that we're using it. In an ideal world, they could look up and see, hey, the hams are on there. They've got other channels they can use. We don't. So I think we've staked our claim to, that we're using 5.8 mostly for RF around this area and around the world. And, we don't have deep pockets. So, it's really up to the FCC, but we won't go down without a fight. And we actually have pretty powerful devices there. Things not going to work very well either if we're running it as well. So, all right. So any Max?
I would like to make some comments. So folks know that I've given presentations previously on HamWAN. There was a question on the difference between HamWAN and mesh. So I just like to make a couple of announcements. Number one, Oregon HamWAN, we are no longer planning to deploy it. We are switching to ARDEN. We have gotten approval from ARDC, which is the granting agency, to put our resources into mesh as a replacement for HamWAN. The Oregon HamWAN website now has a pointer to the Willamette Valley Mesh Network. So if you know where our website is and you just go on there, you'll find the link to the Willamette Valley Mesh Network. In terms of the capabilities or the distinctions between HamWAN and ARDEN, I guess I'd basically like to say that basically they have exactly the same capabilities, including you can do tunnels on HamWAN. It's a little bit like comparing VHS and beta. If you have a beta tape, it won't play on a VHS player. If you have a VHS tape, it won't play on a beta. But basically the capabilities of the two systems are similar. They just use different technologies to achieve it. What happened was when we really looked at the status, a mesh was so far, or ARDEN mesh was so far ahead of where we were in HamWAN that it was just never possible to catch up. And it didn't make sense to try and deploy two competing systems. What made much more sense was for the two teams to basically be using the same technology rather than competing technologies. So, there are other areas in the country like Washington where they're using HAM-WAN, but here we're just moving to ARDEN mesh. So hopefully that answers the question about HAM-WAN and basically fills people in on where we are with HAM-WAN versus ARDEN.
Thanks, Herb.
Max, can I, you want me to turn it back to you? It's 8:36. There's a big topic, but if there's anything that I can say, I can turn it back to you and let you take over with whatever your final part of your meeting is. You had something else tonight too. You didn't stop me.
Oh yeah. We have a few more slides, and I know this is a big topic, and which is great. I appreciate that you came on tonight. Sounds like we have a lot of people that are interested, and that's kind of the point of these meetings, is to not tell you everything, but just get you really interested and point you in the right direction. With that being said, I would encourage everybody to download the text chat because there's a lot of resources, and it sounds like there's a couple people that even offered help if anybody's interested in setting up their own station. And then there's some resources also on how to get in contact with Brett and other people. The ARDEN Mesh Network, the net that happens every week is great. So
did I mention
Go ahead.
to get going on this stuff? Much cheaper than getting one of the nice, even a basic handheld. ARDEN station is less than $150. You can get it as, depending if you have any of this cable and stuff on hand, you can get $50 for used thing up and running and have high-speed networking capability, either portable or, part of the network. Hams are cheap, but we're clever and we want to solve problems. Okay. And we've done this. We really are excited to have opportunity to maybe get some other involvement, because things like what we find out is that like putting stuff up, if we could get a man lift and have that available once in a while, I could probably, I said on the chat that we could put 5 nodes up on the weekend. I know exactly 5 people that are waiting to put their stuff up on their houses, get their dishes realigned, that kind of thing. I don't need really big, powerful sites at this time. I really need, to facilitate people like you guys to get on the network. It will come. The agencies are getting excited about this because we're showing that it already works. And they'll come to us and they'll say, like Marion County said, oh, do you want to put something up on our tower? And you know what? I actually told them, no, I don't right now want to put it on your tower, because if I put it up there, it's going to cost about $2,000 to $3,000 for one radio to go up on that tower. And I said, I'd much rather have that equipment over on this other building across the way and the use of a man lift, because I'd like to put a couple of units up, a solar panel and some batteries. That would be far more valuable to me than to be up on that big tower where I can never get to it again. Do you see where my logic comes from on that? I love to have the idea, but it's not their system, it's our system. And we know what we needed to do. That being said, I'd love to I'm really excited about Polk County, and actually Clackamas County has money. They bought the stuff. They're ready they want to put it up. They've had it's very difficult to get these sites going for anyone, but they've got radios ready to go. You just gotta get one. So Max, go ahead. Any other comments? That's all I wanted to say about at this point, but I can come back.
Yeah, this is Dan from the PARC Club. My question was, what about ham repeater sites? Is that in general something that you're looking at now, or is that likewise down the road at a later date?
Ham repeater sites are already being linked by the Ken guy that's on here, and it's a great use of our. Is that what you're asking? Yeah. So a repeater site that doesn't have internet can use the mesh. because we can link, and we'd like to use, there's multiple technologies, as you know, people want to do DMR. We got some DMR people that we've got the system fusion. We're going to be, we actually have multiple system fusions radios that are using YSF to cross over. The great thing about linking by mesh is that you save all this spectrum. You don't have to put these link radios in. You don't have to have extra power. You don't have to have the cost of the cavities, all that stuff. The network is already there. You just hook up to the network and you use the Raspberry Pi to make a little node that goes on. So
let me
Yeah.
just jump in
I
here
think-
for 1 second, Brett, if I could.
sure, yep.
Okay, I put a link to my website in the chat box. I've got several documents there about linking repeater sites using the ARDEN mesh and All-Star. So some system diagrams and things like that, which will give you a rough idea of how things can be done.
That's great. Thank you
Great.
very much. Cool. Thanks,
Okay,
Brett.
that-
Thanks, Ben.
You're
We have
welcome.
more slides to get through, and we'll definitely have you back on if you're willing to come either to one of our main meetings or on a Thursday night to help people get set up.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
being able to talk to you guys.
Absolutely. We appreciate you coming. All right. A couple more slides. I'm going to make this quick because we'd like to stop kind of at 9 o'clock. All right, so next kind of topic is going to be the Tillamook Burn Ultra Marathon. This is a event that is happening at the end of May. I'm sorry, end of April rather. And Terry is on here. She's going to be our speaker for next month. But I just put this in here to kind of give you a teaser as to the topic for next month. I think this is a really good opportunity for club members to test out their equipment, to have a lot of fun, and to really support public service. So the Tillamook Burn is it starts at 6 a.m. April 30th, and it goes for 34 hours. So there's going to be multiple shifts for this, and multiple people are needed to help with this. It is a 100-mile ultra marathon where people will be starting and finishing in the same place. It's kind of a loop or a down and back. And we're coordinating this with PDX Ultra Hams, and their website is up there, ecsupportoregon.net. Terry is ahead of that. And the marathon website there is at daybreakracing.com/Tillamook Burn. And you can go there and get all the information about the race and the trail and the track and everything. So what we'll do is we'll break out the event into different shifts, and so we'll be located at one of 6 or 7 different aid stations, including the start and finish. In the lower right-hand corner, you can see that I just took this from the race to the Tillamook Burn website, but they start out, I believe, in the upper right-hand side, and they'll run down, and then you can see the different aid
Max.
stations. Yeah. Yep. You can see the different aid stations along the way. So we'll have shifts for the aid stations, either 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 different shifts, anywhere from 6 hours or I guess 3 hours until or 10 hours. And Terry and I will work, together to get the appropriate number of shifts for that. And so the idea is that you would take your radio equipment out to an aid station and kind of set up with, there'll be other people there that are supporting the race, but so you won't be alone in the wilderness. But you'll set up a station there, and you'll kind of help communications between the different stations supporting the runners. So you could potentially be relaying bib numbers back. If people drop out of the race, we want to make sure that they have a way back to the start finish, things like that. Let's see if I have any. So this is going to be the topic of our PARC February general meeting, which is going to be on February 14th at 7 o'clock. the second Monday of the month. And Terry Smith is going to be our speaker. And she's going to be talking about supporting communications for public events. She has another guest that's coming on that's going to talk a little bit about portable gear for these types of stations. And we'll talk definitely more about the Tillamook Burn Ultra Marathon and setting up and coordinating people for the different positions. And Terry, did you want to say anything about this?
I think that really covers it. I'm pretty excited to talk to you all about the things. KI7OEK, Jeff, who's been on here tonight. Actually, I would love to invite him to be a part of it as well. He can talk a lot about the net protocol that we use and the way that we manage the events.
Take this.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, if anyone has any questions in advance that they want to pop into the chat right now, I can take a look at that. Look at those just to make sure we cover everything when I am talking next week. But yeah, I think they're super fun, a super fun way to get involved with these races and to be a part of you know, a pretty incredible journey for the runners, and get a lot of practice on your radios. So yeah, look forward to talking to you all next month.
That's awesome. Yeah. So a couple of comments in the chat. What, no all-nighters? We do have all-nighters. So because the race is 34 hours long, including the night.
Yes, and actually, that's when I think that's some of the best times, because everybody gets a little bit loopy on the radio, and we like to keep it lighthearted, even though we are also doing, you know, serious business of making sure we don't lose any runners out there. But yeah, there definitely are overnight shifts. So yeah, and I did see the question about the RFID bibs. Some of the races do. I don't believe that this Tillamook Burn one does. And if anybody's interested in looking at more at the course, the race takes place in the mountains that are basically between Highway 26 and Highway 6 through, there's kind of a, you know, there's a mountain range that goes through there. So they're kind of going up and down over those mountains. It's going to be an interesting challenge for us to take on in getting the signal. The start finish is basically on the other side of the mountain range that runs between those two roads. So we're going to have most of the race happening on one side of the mountain, and then the race director will be on the other side of the mountain. So we're trying to brainstorm the best way to get the signal up and over, which is always one of the challenges with a new race like this one. So yeah, we'll talk more about that next month.
That's awesome.
The reason why I asked about the RFID is I actually have written software and built hardware for doing 900 megahertz RFID tags. And one of the things that as a ham that's kind of cool is we can actually take the RFID tags that are being read, pass that over to APRS, and either send that through IS or pass it through to a separate channel, receive it all in one point, and, you know, collect the data. But anyway.
Yeah, that is, we've done some of that, and at least KI7OAK might want to jump in on that. But those are always problems that we're trying to solve. So
yeah. Can you all hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah, so the RFID in the past has typically been part of it's integrated into the name badge, and it's been provided by a local timing company. And so his service is independent of ours because he's being paid to transmit and to collect that data. Timing things that we have used in the past, we have used like FL Digi and a couple of apps that have been built on top of that to transmit data back and forth. We've also used WinLink data to transmit back and forth. And we have also transmitted that data over FM voice, which has been part of the reason why I'm so excited about it, ARDEN, is because I have transmitted large quantities of very simple data, 5 at a time at 2 in the morning through VHF simplex. And I can tell you that ARDEN is a far better choice for anything that we're trying to do as far as passing data. And yeah, just looking at the race elevation profile, this one is going to be quite the party. This one is going to be a real tough one. So I look forward to hearing more about this next month, Terry, and I look forward to seeing you on the course too.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. And I want to thank Terry in advance. She's actually done almost, half the work of this entire event by creating all the coordination, the logistics, the descriptions, the driving directions, everything. So thank you very much in advance, Terry, and for allowing PARC to help with this public service.
Absolutely. I don't want to be out there by myself with nobody to talk to. So I will do everything I can to make it as easy as possible for everyone and as fun as possible as well. So thanks.
Cool. So if you're interested in this event, make sure that you bookmark February 14th at 7 p.m. That'll be our next monthly meeting. Details will be up on the website later this week to register for that Zoom meeting.
Again.
All right. So
Okay.
last little piece that we're going to cover tonight before we call it a day is our 2022 club calendar and other upcoming events that PARC is going to be doing. Last December, last year, 2021, if you guys remember that, I put this slide up as to kind of like the steps that we're going to be taking in the next couple of months to really bring in a lot of our members to figure out ways that we can make the club better. So during the December general meeting, we introduced like the new committees and opportunities for club members to give their input and become involved with the club in this year, 2022. So we reviewed the club officer job descriptions and also the committees and the upcoming election. We did have a December board meeting where we did finalize some of the details of the change for 2022. We talked about an in-person January meeting. I had to scratch out in-person because it seems like everybody, including my community college here, is canceling in-person activities for the next few weeks. So we're going to do that on Zoom, but it's basically any member who wants to get involved in either joining a committee or brainstorming on club activities for this year, other aspirations and goals, or maybe even become a board member because elections are coming up. Please join us. It's going to be at the end of this month, January 31st, which is a Monday at 7 o'clock. And you can give input on how PARC can become a better club. And I really encourage anybody that wants to become involved in making the club better, please join us for that. And then in February, we'll have a board meeting. We'll kind of prioritize some of the outcomes that have come out of that January meeting. And then we'll have committees meet after that, and they'll prioritize their committee goals, and they'll send that to the PARC board again. And then the PARC board will, looking at a broad overview of the club in general, we can help prioritize some of the committee goals. And then finally, throughout the rest of the year, committees will continue to meet, the board will continue to meet, and we'll work on all the activities and opportunities that we've identified to make this a better and more active club, despite the fact that we're not meeting in person and things like that. So with that being said, there is the 2022 Club Aspirations meeting. It's going to be on Monday, January 31st at 7 p.m. This will, I'll put the link up later this week to register for that. It'll be a lot like this meeting, except we hope that we get more people involved in the discussion. And this is really just a brainstorming on committees, club activities, aspirations, goals, and how PARC can become a better club. We really appreciate everybody paying dues, but we really want you to kind of step up and really help shape what the club is going to be this year. And so between now and then, really think about how you want to be involved with PARC and what ideas that you can bring. So this is kind of a rough draft of a PARC 2022 calendar. I put all the board meetings and all the general meetings on there. But some of the things that we may want to participate in as a club, for example, the ARRL, they have a couple times a year a school club roundup. We have the Tillamook Burn, which starts on April 30th. We have ARRL Kids Day, which is June 19th. And these are activities that the ARRL really would like to have club participation in. Of course, Field Day, June 24th, that's always a great and fun event. In August sometime, we'll have a park picnic, and we'll send out a survey to kind of find out when people will be available for that picnic. October 14th is the Jamboree on the Air, which is a really fun event, especially for clubs to help get young people on the air. October 14th is again the ARRL School Club Roundup. And these I just think are some of the activities that we should put or have on the calendar for this year. A lot of the other activities we're going to identify in the next meeting on January 31st. So before I go on, any questions, comments about what we're planning for this year? All right, so really briefly, elections are coming up in the March meeting. This year is going to be a little bit different than the previous years, mostly because we're most likely going to be still meeting on Zoom. If we're meeting in person, great. But this discussion came up last year. Traditionally, when the club met, it was only the members that were actually at the meeting that could vote. They could carry a proxy vote, but just one for somebody that was not attending. This year, we're going to open elections up to all PARC members. You do need to be a member at the time of the vote, so remember to pay your dues. So go on the website and pay the dues. We're going to use Election Buddy to help facilitate our voting so that everybody gets a chance to vote through email. Everybody's going to receive a unique code. It's going to be anonymous so that after the whole vote's done, we won't know who voted for who, but it'll be a secure way to vote end to end. And it's a great way to get involved in the club is to be part of the elections. And if you'd like to run for one of the board positions, the board requirements are you do need to be a member of PARC. We will be meeting monthly as a board through Zoom, which is pretty easy and nice because you don't have to drive, especially people like Wayne who live up pretty far in Washington. And then you also will need to access board files in PARC Google Drive. Since we're not meeting in person, it's really important that reports and things like that get posted to a place that everybody can see them without having to meet in person. As a reminder, here is the current people who are in the different board member positions. There's president, vice president, recording secretary, membership secretary, treasurer, past president, and directors at large. We have 2 of them, and a station trustee. Couple of points. The recording secretary, George has been doing a great job for the last couple of years. If you would like to run, George would not mind you running against you. He said he's not going to be campaigning, so that may be a position that you would like to throw your hat in for. I think that would be great. But any of these really are open. And if anybody has any questions, just, should I run? Should I not run? What are the additional requirements? Please feel free to email me. I'm going to put my email up right now, k2max@arrl.net.
Hey, Max.
Yeah, David.
Just a quick point. I'm not sure that the directors at large are actually up for election this year. I think some of their terms will lop over. Mm-hmm. And past president is sort of an automatic position. So it's not like everything is up for grabs here.
No.
Just point that out. I think the station trustee is not really an elected position either.
Station trustee, I think, is appointed, but right now Pete is in that position. He's the only person that can actually hold 2 board positions at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you want to run, only run for one position. So John White is our 3-year director at large, and Aaron Johnson is our 1-year director at large. 1-year director at large happens every year, obviously. So his position is going to be up for election this year also.
Cool.
Awesome. Any questions, comments, suggestions in general?
Oh,
yeah.
Max, I put this in the chat, but I just thought I'd say it here. I don't know too much about this, but there's a group that has started what they call an outdoor net on V8, actually on UHF, and it's on, let's see here, where did I put it? 443.150. It's every Thursday at 8 p.m. And apparently it's kind of designed to talk about soda, summits on the air, parks on the air, outdoor activities related to ham radio. So, I'm going to pop in and kind of see what they're up to. But it could, for those of you who are interested in outdoor activities, this could be promising. Well, I'll check it out.
That sounds like a great net, Dan.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are new to ham radio, maybe you've not made a contact, or maybe this is something you just got your license. A net is a fun way to kind of practice using your radio. And it's also just a fun way to use your radio. So go ahead and check in. And then the side benefit is that you get to learn a lot about whatever the net's topic is. So outdoor, soda, POTA. There's also a couple nets that were talked about tonight and that are in the chat about mesh networking. So make sure you save the chat. Cool. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. This is the end of the official meeting. I'm going to actually just leave the channel open if anybody has any questions or wants to talk about anything in general.
Thanks very much for hosting this, Max, and thanks to everybody out there for listening to our presentations and this discussion. I'm sure we'll have more talks about this in the future, and I think that it's great that we can all come together and collaborate and benefit from this, because we can all find a common ground of use cases of things that we can employ this for. So I think it's really wonderful. And also the work that you guys are doing to help out, of course, with the events and stuff, I think that stuff's great. Community service is one of the things that I think we as amateurs should absolutely be on the forefront of doing, and getting that exposure, and but just helping out where you can, and especially the runners appreciate it. Everybody appreciates that, so we appreciate you guys and want to thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you very much. You know what? I have some new things to buy for mesh networking.
Hey, I just got a digital radio, but I guess if we can link it up, through ARDEN, through a repeater site, that'll work. I had a question for some of the gents there on the mesh networking, which is, I had some discussions, and I won't go into that, basically with some of the folks in the state of Washington who were involved in HamWAN, wanting to try to connect into Oregon to make it a full network. Would those HamWAN networks, would they be able to connect to the ARDEN, or is that like oil and water? I mean,
I can respond.
I'm sort of curious.
So I can respond to that, Dan, because basically the grant that we got from ARDC, we want to spend some of our money to basically make that happen. So basically, I guess I'll give you an analogy. Can you connect a Wi-Fi network to an Ethernet network? Sure, just put a little gateway there and you connect them together. So it's the same thing. There's no problem connecting a HamWAN to an ARDEN network. The one difficulty that we have is the two sites up in Washington that we were able to reach from a Portland-based tower, Larch Mountain and Bawthaw. Both of those have been shut down. What happened was the Washington Department of Natural Resources basically terminated the leases for all the HamWAN sites at those two locations. And so in order to connect up to HamWAN, we would need to find another site up in Seattle I'm sorry, up in Washington to make a link because there's no line of sight from Portland to the next nearest site. But we can use some of the ARDC grant to actually make that happen. The point of the ARDC grant is to have a network that links all the way from Salem, Oregon, up to Seattle, Washington, and then those sites could be have both HamWAN and ARDEN equipment so that you can then basically connect into those. So Dan, does that answer your question?
Yeah, and actually, Herb, if you could give me a phone call sometime, I want to discuss this further in private, and we'll just leave it at that. I don't know if you have my phone number.
I don't. Why don't you put your phone number in the chat privately to me, and I will put my phone number in the chat privately to you, and then we will each have each other's phone number.
All right, it's done.
Yeah, and can I comment on the?
Sure.
So the thing is that right now our network's available to you. You could connect tomorrow, and you know it showed the thing. I was really looking forward to HamWAN being able to do their thing, but you can see it's not resilient. It is not a resilient network like ours is. All you have to do is knock out Larch Mountain, it's down, right? Ours doesn't work that way. Okay.
Right.
So the thing is, it's working right now, and you know, we just added stations in Clark County, and Clark County is going to build out from there. There's already ARDEN running in the Yakima Valley. There are ARDEN people everywhere. Look at the map. Okay, so if you want to get to Washington, use ARDEN. Okay, now if they want to use their thing, but right now their system is broken. They don't have these nice repeater sites. We don't have these nice repeater sites either. But our thing goes around objects. It lets hams connect to hams that need to get there. You can take your ARDEN radio with you on a plane and go get on anywhere you know in the world, plug it into the network and be on the ARDEN network. Okay.
So that's excellent. Yeah.
So the thing is, we need a network that's going to help us connect to each other to the resources we need in an emergency, and we need a network that builds our community so that we can test these ideas and do these fun things with the radio and advance the hobby. There are lots of ways to do this. You know, there are other networks, you know, that can do this. But in spite of all the challenges, you know, we're still growing, and it's fun. It's giving us something to do and to work with, and you know, you're absolutely welcome. You know, if the HamWAN comes back, it comes back. But in the meantime, ours is resilient, and it survives ice storms. It survives fires. We've never gone down. Okay, and you can set it up at your race. You know, if you that's a challenge you want to do, you can go set it up at your race. All right. You don't need an infrastructure that's a point to point to point to point that's subject to with centralized services. Our services are decentralized. We put it in the car. We can put a PBX in the back of a car, and we can drive to that race, and we can, you know, we can create this network and have modern communications, file sharing, video, all that stuff. We don't need an infrastructure. We are the infrastructure. So it's a different philosophy, okay? And it has and the equipment is much more widely available and cheaper. You know, there's equipment shortages now. So anyway, we're doing this. We'll help you. It's proven it works, and it's 13 counties in Oregon already, all the way from Klamath Falls all the way up to Portland already. Okay, so we're just filling in the blanks, and my goal is we get all the counties, and we're going to connect Bend. Bend's there now, and even if it's just our goal is by, you know, just think of it personally. Like, can I connect to another county with the mesh? When those two connections are made, you've made progress instantly. So that's the cool thing about it, right?
Yeah, I was just trying to sort out. In fact, that's the original reason I emailed you,
Yeah.
to come on, because I didn't really grasp the difference between the two networks. And for other reasons, which I won't go into, I was talking to the folks in Washington about their issues.
Well, they're very clever in Washington. I'm not going to disparage them at all. They had a great.
No. Yeah, I have no idea. This is all new to me, so I didn't know who was who.
Lock us up for 2 years and don't let us have meetings, and we just keep going. Yeah.
I think you've kind of answered this obliquely, but for instance, what's the geographical issues? For instance, like if you're connecting to Washington, you're just basically going across the Columbia River. Is that right?
We're tunneled right now.
Yeah. When you say tunneled again, you explain that again.
We're using right now. We are using that connection. So our thing very, very easily, anybody's network, you could be on the network tomorrow without aiming anything by using a tunnel. Okay. A tunnel is a low level, secure level 2 internet connection using your home network at VPN. Okay. Now, so we got it. There are guys, I don't know if they're still here tonight. Clackamas guys haven't set up any RF yet, but they've been practicing with ARDEN using a cell phone. Okay, they bring their ARDEN thing out and into the park, use their cell phone to make the connection and tunnel in, and then they set up all the RF radios in the park. Okay, this is flexibility we don't have with other systems. We can do this. We have Starlink. Okay, several people with Starlink now. Richard has Starlink and other people. Yeah. When we get Starlink, we can tunnel through it. We already doing it. It works.
Okay. I was in Montana and I tunneled all the way into the Willamette Valley Mesh Network to manage some of my services on there. And I could connect it via Starlink, or in my truck, actually, I have a 4G with a high gain antenna that just whips around in the back. And anywhere I'm at, I'm connected. And it's a little dongle and they're dirt cheap on Amazon. You just flash it. But the other thing I did is I actually wrote some software for my particular node that pulls the GPS data off of the Sierra Wireless Air Link device that's in my truck. That's my hotspot. So I can actually update that in real time. So I show up live on the map. But the biggest thing that I can just tell you guys right off the bat is you guys remember when like the internet first started rolling out and everybody got to, I'm talking, no offense, a lot of older people would understand this, but like playing with serial, playing with programming, all that fun stuff. ARDEN brings that out in me, and I'm pretty young by myself, but like, what we're experiencing with ARDEN and ham radio is like the BBS days and doing like, telnet sessions over RF. I mean, that's kind of what it is, but we get to build services out because 90% of the internet is now HTTPS, and we can't pump that over ARDEN, legalities. But when you start building services out, whether it's WinLink, whether it's APRS, whether it's simply buying a Raspberry Pi with the Raspberry Pi camera, plugging into the ARDEN network, and putting it into like a little box and putting it on your roof, you just built a camera that shows like the skyline, attach GPIO pins to it, monitor the voltage of a battery, or the temperature of outside, humidity, you name it. You can put it on the network and it's yours, and you get to learn and experience something that, a lot of people nowadays, they don't build, they just buy. And there's so much to learn. And with the ham, community as it is right now, there's many different subsections of what is considered ham radio, whether it's, media scatter, APRS, digital, you name it, or FT8 even. Voice is just a small section now. And now with ARDEN, and especially with high-speed multimedia in general, there's a huge subsection under that. And that's where we're at basically today.
Great. Max, but I think we're going to have another committee just for ARDEN, for the club members, to help them sort this out.
And we would love to have that part of Willamette Valley Mesh and facilitate any way we can, because in real reality, for every node you put up, there's a potential that someone in that line between your house and that mountaintop that can't see that mountaintop because there's like 6 trees in the way, there's a potential for that person to hit hit your node, and then you're part of the network to mesh things together. And HamWAN, it was a great idea. And the biggest thing with HamWAN is you had to have a site up on a hilltop that could oversee everything. And they had 3 sector antennas. And the biggest problem that we noticed, and one of the reasons why we mainly went with ARDEN, is you had to have high, I do a lot of system administration and network security and all that fun stuff in my day job. But to do HamWAN, you literally had to program the network configuration for that radio into it. ARDEN has made that so simple that anybody can do it. I mean, a child can do it. You just flash the firmware. They have really good documentation. I mean, excellent documentation, even RF theory in their documentation manual. You program it, you literally go out. If you guys want to know like the quick and dirtiest way, go to our website. On the Willamette Valley Mesh website, we have our mesh map. Find the nodes in your area, and then just go out there and see if you can see that hilltop. If you can see it, more than likely you can receive it. So point your dish at it. If you receive that signal when you do a network scan, then click, you're connected. And it's that easy. One of the coolest things is going around with your vehicle and being able to just connect in. You might not have power at home. You can power these things off of basically, small batteries. I actually have one that runs off of a single cell lithium pack. So it's like 3.7 volts, but it has a boost converter to go up to 24 volts. We're actually building batteries for a lot of this stuff too, because, like I said, there's many different things under this category of stuff. So anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. You presented me with a problem, and I'm going to chuckle about this. I do a certain amount of SOTA activation, if you guys know what SOTA is.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we're going up, that's why I spotted Mount Sylvania. So now I guess I'm going to have to lug an ARDEN radio or gear with me up to the SOTA site.
Okay. So I'd like to make a couple of comments. So the first comment is, I think there's room in your kit for both HamWAN and ARDEN. So I believe Brett earlier said you could take your HamWAN equipment and flash it to be ARDEN equipment. So I have HamWAN equipment. I'm not going to do that because if I'm traveling in Washington, I want to be able to connect up to HamWAN, but I want to have an ARDEN dish as well. So there is room in your arsenal for both of those. The other thing I want to correct the misconception that it's difficult to configure HamWAN. So I personally built and it's on our Oregon HamWAN website, a form-based configuration. You put a few things in a form, and basically most of them are easy to fill in, like you know your own call sign. You put a few things in the form, and it will download the configuration into your HamWAN equipment. So it used to be difficult, but it's not difficult anymore. I think what we have to recognize is both HamWAN and Mesh have evolved, and so what used to be true of HamWAN is not necessarily true anymore, just as what used to be true of Mesh is not necessarily true anymore. So they both can interoperate, and they've both evolved.
The SOTA people. Have you ever done SOTA on 5 gigahertz? That's out of the realm of.
I have.
Okay, so we got to get VUCC, right? VUCC is 5 grids on 5 gigahertz. that is a mastery of ham radio. If you can get VUCC, I remember Pacific Northwest VSGF Society. These guys build transverters and they do all this stuff to try to get this microwave. Mark and I went up to. I went to Mount Sylvania. He went to Round Top. I don't know if he's still on the line here. And we went ahead and did a proof of concept SOTA activation. It took me half an hour. I got up there with my little wheeled cart. I had my mesh radio, my telephone, my desk telephone, my computer, and some cable, and my battery supply. And I sat on the park bench in Mount Sylvania, and I had looked on the Google Earth and pointed at Round Top. Mark, in the meantime, is on Round Top, 41 miles away. And to be fair, we put the information at the top with our IP address on the thing, as well as our grid square, and it's all in that web page. Okay, so we make the connection. We look at the web page, and I call him on the phone. And not only do we make a 41-mile conversation from SOTA, full duplex on ham radio, point to point on 5.8 in a half an hour. Okay. All right. So it's easy. And it's like, I'm sitting on a park bench, right? And I'm talking on the telephone. And it's amazing. And it's like, this is cool. This is fun. Right. So all you need is the key thing is another person. Actually wasn't on the whole network. We just did point to point, but it was still fun. Get on there. How you doing, Mark? It sounded great on the telephone. So, this is stuff you can do, for fun as well. If I had a video camera, I could have done the video camera, is whatever you want to put in your kit, but it doesn't take as much power as our regular radios. That's the cool thing. This thing runs for hours and hours at, I think the phone probably takes more than the battery, and the computer is probably the worst in terms of the power, but the radio itself is very low wattage and it runs for a long time. So
thinking about long range, I think the longest one would probably be the one that I did. I was just getting into the ARDEN radios and everything, and I took up one of my dishes. I think it was a PowerBeam 400, and I was up on Chehalem Ridge of Newburgh on that mountaintop, and I was scanning, trying to find Salem's devices, and just out of weirdness, I saw one that I didn't recognize, and come to find out, when it fully resolved the host name, or not the host name, the what do you call it? Network name, instead of it being ARDEN down in Lynn County, they use LCARES as their network name. I saw LCARES. I'm like, that's weird. That's like really far away. That's strange. Well, come to find out, someone had a PowerBeam, I think 650, pointing up north from what place called Sweet Home. So I made a connection and was able to do a ping test from Sweet Home to Newburgh, which is, I believe, about 62 miles, and that's the longest one I've able to do network with. But I was pointing it out my window of my truck, just right to the spot with my hands. So it was kind of cool. Fun stories, I guess.
No, that's great. I'm going to talk to. You guys know K7 ETN? I don't know if you know him. Yeah, he's quite the microwave guy too, and a soda guy. So that sounds like something right up his alley.
Yeah, Mark and he are partners, and they go out. I think they might have the record for 2.4 gig on their transverter systems. Like different radios, but that lightweight dish that weighs 1.2 pounds, is made by Microtik, is pretty powerful and lightweight to bring. Mark brings it in a little cart. He drags it up the trail, but why not add that to it? You just have to get someone to cooperate with you from mountain to mountain. The thing is, you could use Mount Sylvania in an exercise, because someone could put up a wider thing, a sector or an omni, and that would tie it together. If that's the part where it's important to be able to do that. We do this portable stuff, but we can get around these mountains. It works really well at close range. And literally, if we had enough people involved, we can get around anything. Because everyone links to everyone else. It's not dependent on the same spot.
This is one of my favorite analogies of how this system works. say you had an earthquake, because supposedly we're supposed to have this really big earthquake. And I say that loosely because you never know. But anyway, say you had an earthquake. It's huge. Everything's collapsed. Fiber lines, because the waves and through the earth could literally rip them apart in the earth. Towers, if they're not if they're guide, probably are going to fall. So a lot of things are going to go down. Bridges, fire department, a lot of places won't travel over those bridges until they're checked to make sure that they're safe to drive on. But the cool thing is having ARDEN devices, around the city. You could say, over normal 2 meters, hey, Jim, go up to that mountaintop and deploy one of these sectors. And at least in the Newburgh area, we have kind of hills all the way around us. We're kind of in a bowl. You can send someone up there with simply a speaker stand from eBay for $15, a sector antenna with a radio, a PoE injector, a small solar panel that's like 40 watts, and a decent car battery stolen out of your wife's vehicle. Just kidding. Put it up there, and it's sufficient or self-sustaining, I guess I should say. And anybody that can see that view shed that has a clear line of sight and somewhat not clear line of sight as well can connect up to that site, and now they're linking together. So if like in Dundee area, if I can see that mountaintop, I can connect in. So if I'm at a fire station, that fire station's connected in. The hospital, get someone there, connect them in, and now you have multiple sites connected via this high-speed network. Now, some of the devices can support mesh chat built into the actual node, so you already have one application that you can have already on the node. But where it really gets powerful is with your Raspberry Pi Zeros. Those things use like very little power. You can put a 64 gig SD card in them, and you can put Nginx on there to run web services, file servers, you name it, you can run it on those Raspberry Pis. You get one of those or a couple of those thrown on that, and now you're getting more services that you can use. If you have an HAP or an access point connected to your node, you can get your cell phone connected because it'll project a Part 15 access point into the ARDEN network. The other thing is you start bringing IP phones, especially ones that can dial other IP addresses, and now you have communications between sites. And IP phones, you can get them dirt cheap on eBay from $5 to $20 a piece. They're really cheap, especially used ones. So that's like my go-to explanation of just how powerful things like this is.
Yeah, I'm somewhat involved with what they call the neighborhood emergency team, which is basically CERT for the city of Portland. And the neighborhood emergency teams interface with Portland Bureau of Emergency Management. And so far, all of the the communications are handled 2 meter simplex, but this sounds like something that would be ready-made, because we drill, we do 2 or 3 or 4 drills a year based around the big earthquake. So, this sounds like perhaps like the thing that would be a perfect fit for them.
Yeah, so Jeremy when we talked to him last year about HamWAN, he was very excited about it. But so, I mean, I think he'd be equally excited about ARDEN.
Right. Oh, Jeremy and Karen.
Yeah, we met with Jeremy and Jeremy and Ernie, and we've I mean, cool. So they're all aware of this. They're sort of watching from the sidelines to see what happens.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, there's people like Donna, HE7MO, who is much more involved than I am, that they'll connect all the dots.
Well, I worked with Donna on this. Donna was on the net earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Cool. Yeah. Well, Max, I guess we have to get our or our IP phones.
Yes, and all the other good gear. I'm gonna check. Bill, did you have a question? Bill Marquardt? Okay, I guess not. Oh, cool.
Hey, there.
Hey, did you have a question?
Bill has his hand up. That's, I don't know. Put your hand down if you don't have a question. One of the things I like to say is kind of trite, but staff, not stuff. Okay. We actually have the stuff. In fact, there's a lot of people that might even just hand you this thing. We don't have the staff. We need the people. You guys, I know there's some of you who have view houses, or maybe grandma has a view house or something. You can put this is, you put your call sign and put it on there. You are in remote control of the station. That's fine. You can put it on a business. We just need some sites that are up what other people can see up on the hill. There are these bumps in the way, things like Cooper Mountain get in the way a little bit, so, but right now, if we build out from what we have, in an ideal world, it could just be somebody's porch. I mean, one of our good nodes in Chehalem Ridge is mounted on under the deck of a bed and breakfast, and it's connecting, Woodburn to Newburgh, so don't think that it has to be some real fancy tower thing. It only needs to have a clear sight and 7 feet of ground clearance to work. That's the thing. So it's something that try to think a little bit outside the box. Think about what our the soda guys, find soda sites. Do your some of your exercise. Offer the next time you do a cert thing that, hey, I'm going to go up there with my battery operated radio, and I'm going to see if I can place this, and then you guys try to hit it. Okay.
Can you guys see my screen right now?
Yep.
Yeah. Yes.
The
we
white
can.
one or the black one? Which one?
The white one.
Okay, cool. All right. So one of the projects, and this goes back to, experiencing things and building things, that either commercially isn't available, or, just programming and doing cool things. So that particular site he mentioned, which is Chehalem, I wrote some software to take pictures from a DJI, Maverick Air 3 or Air 2, which these are the big files of them, to take pictures like this using my drone and process the exit data to generate images like this. So we basically took the heading information from the exit data and overlaid that into the image using PHP and it's not OpenCV. What is it? GD, part of PHP. And now we have quite literally heading information. So when we go to point that dish at another site, we send the drone up, up on the tower, to where it's going to be pointing. And then we basically get heading information. And one of the best ways to figure out where you need to go is you go to link.ui, part of Ubiquity's suite. And if we jump out of here real fast and go to Oregon, let's say you have from that site right there, it's up here, give me 1 second, Scanter, there it is. So it's on this barn right here. Say I want to point to Coins Tower, right? I'm just going to do a point to point. I'm going to take this guy right here, and it's not perfect. I'm just going to point in the rough area. Where's Sylvan Hills? Just say it's somewhere right here. Okay. So you have point A to point B. This one up here is this side. This one down here is this side. You can see your terrain map between the two sites, and you can see you have really good chance of hitting that, especially only at 15 miles. It'll tell you your network speed, your percentage. This is the new like cat's meow from Ubiquity. It's AC. We don't use that yet, but we're writing a firmware for it. So I'm going to jump this down to 5 gigahertz, which is this unit right down further right. Where are you? Yeah, there it is, 400. So 400 to 400, you're looking at 176 megabits, best case. That's if you're using a 40 megahertz wide signal, where you don't typically use 10 to 20. So you're looking at 42 megs on the best day, Okay. But the coolest thing about this particular site is it gives you a heading information, and you can use that heading to point your antenna. So even though this site right here, you might not know there's a tree in the way. So by taking that drone photo, going back here, we now can take 28 degrees, pop it in, which is right here. If you go down, it's right here. So you might have to go up higher because that's tree in this way. So this is some of the stuff that we wrote software for to help us aim and do cool things. Anyway, thought you guys might like to see that.
Cool. This is great.
We have we even experimented with a drone Air Force. Okay. It turns out we have these little ARDEN devices that are battery operated, the AR-150, and Jesse, who might still be on here, flew one up 400 feet and actually got a received signal strength. This is at 2.4 gig, but 400 feet up. We actually looked at our little chart that I showed you before and did a signal strength as he moved the drone around. So one use case scenario for people who like drones is let's build a drone that we send up. We can get that WinLink messages out so fast that then we can land it again, recharge the battery, send it up again. We can get over things that way. It's just innovation, right? These are lightweight battery operated things, and but it works. This is what we can experiment with. But
here goes Donna's budget because basically Donna is a drone person. So Dan, you probably know that.
Yeah. Oh, Max has got, how many, do you have 2 drones yet or just one?
Just 2. Yeah, we used one for putting up our field day antenna, but this sounds like a great second career.
Wait, field day antenna? So the best way of doing that, by the way, is to take a secondary output from an RC, either copter or drone, or forward propeller drone, and take that and go to a relay off your battery to a piece of what's that wire called? That's nichrome wire, and then you wrap what's that called? Fishing line through that, so it burns through it. So you flip a switch, it burns through the fishing line, drops it right where you want it.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
That's slick. Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, we did. We got ours up, 130, 120 feet up, max.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like I kept having to tell Max, okay, the wind's died down for a sec, get it over there. But yeah, Max, you have to put up an ARDEN dish because you've got the big trees.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the time that I can actually take in, put electromagnet on a pretty decent size quadcopter. Basically fly a one of those Monoprice makes. It's a super thin Ethernet cable. It's called Slimline. Take that, fly the drone up with a small nano station up on a tower, and just put magnets on the nano station, and just literally fly it up, clip it on, drop back down. There's your ARDEN radio. No tower climber required. No tower climber required. That's really going to upset some manager somewhere.
Nice.
I have to take off, Max, but this was great, guys. Brett and Richard, you guys, thanks for, I know it was short notice when I contacted you, but I'm so glad you were able to come and do this.
Well, I would have been on your Linux usernet tonight anyway at 8 o'clock. So I often go to that and talk to those guys. They like the fact that it's Linux. And we tell them all the fun things we're doing. They go, wow, that's so cool. Have your own servers. And yeah, we use Docker and we use, all kinds of fun things, and it's like, oh, it gives them something to talk about and think about. And I want you guys, to, if you have any inclination at all, just make one connection. You don't need to wait for it to be perfect. Just make one connection right now. It really is easy, will help you. Might even, if it's a really good location, with it like, oh, my deck and I'm up at 900 feet on, Council Crest or something like that, and you'd like a little radio, we might find one for you pretty easily. Because, you know, we'd really like your help. So yeah, that's the way we do things, person to person, ham to ham. And we're really happy that you guys are thinking about this stuff.
Cool.
Well,
okay.
Great. Thank you, Dan, for the invite.
Sure. Thanks for coming.